my name to this, I think, very important amendment, and all the more important because of the previous groups of discussions that we've had about the difficulties around misinformation or potential government interference in decisions about what's online and what's not online. And I think that Lord Moylan is right to indicate that this is a very modest, moderate amendment that addresses the problems of government influence or government moderation, or at least allows those of us who are concerned about it to keep our eye on it and make sure that the country and Parliament can know what's going on. I think that where the original idea of disinformation came from was a completely, absolutely rightful concern about foreign disinformation between states. And I think that people were rightly concerned about security. We all should be, and nobody wants to be taken for in that way. But I think that there has been a worry when agencies designed to combat those threats are increasingly turned inward against the public in a wide range of countries. And although that might not be exactly what's happened in the UK, we should note that only recently Meta's CEO, Mark Zuckerberg, admitted that the US government had asked Facebook to suppress true information. And he said in a recent interview that the scientific establishment asked, quote, for a bunch of things to be censored that in retrospect ended up being more debatable or true. And I think we all should be concerned about this. This isn't just a matter for those of us who are worried about free speech or raise the issue. If we are genuinely worried about misinformation or fake news, we have to make sure that we're equally as concerned if it comes from other sources, not just from malign players. In the American court case that the Noble Lord Moylan mentioned, in Judge Doughty's 155-page ruling in Missouri, in the Missouri versus Biden case, he depicted what was quite a dystopian scene, where he said that during the pandemic, the US government, quote, seems to have assumed a role similar to an Orwellian Ministry of Truth. And I just think we don't want to emulate the worst of what's happening in the US here. The judge there outlined a huge complex of government agencies and officials connected with big tech and an army of bureaucrats hired to monitor websites and flag and remove problematic posts. And it's not like that in the UK. But I think that some of us were quite taken aback to discover that the government did run a counter-disinformation policy forum during the lockdown, which brought together tech giants to discuss how to deal with COVID misinformation, as it was said. There was a worry then about political interference. I don't think that this is just paranoia, because since then, Big Brother Watch and its investigative work have shown that the UK government did have a secret unit that worked with social media companies to monitor and prevent speech critical of COVID lockdown policies, in that the existence of the Counter-Disinformation Unit, which was set up by ministers to deal with individuals and groups who criticise policies such as lockdowns or school closures or vaccine mandates or what have you. Now, I, like the Noble Lord Moylan, don't want to just get stuck on what happened during lockdown. That was an exceptional, extreme situation. But nonetheless, the Counter-Disinformation Unit, which works indeed out of the Minister's own department, out of the DCMS, is still operating. And it seems to be able to get content fast-tracked for possible moderation by social media firms such as Facebook and Twitter. I think the fact that they used an AI firm to search social media posts, we need to know details of. I think, therefore, that in order that we have the transparency which the government and the Minister has constantly stressed is hugely important for the credibility of this bill in any way whatsoever, that it's very important there is transparency about the likes of the Counter-Disinformation Unit and any government attempts at interfering in what we are allowed to see, read or have access to online.
My Lord,